before we begin, yeah, y'all remember that? Playing the game? Y'all remember that? Oh yeah. This is kind of fire. I don't own the rights to this music, but this was also necessary before we begin the review to remind you of that soundtrack. Welcome everyone. My name is Devon. Just doing a film review here over the new Mortal Kombat. Came out this weekend, April 23rd. It's been a lot of mixed reviews about this film. A lot of good things, a lot of bad things. I just kind of want to hit a couple of points and recommend if you should watch the film or not. So, the biggest point I think that messes up a lot of people with this film is the introduction of this new character by the name of Cole Young. Cole Young is a descendant of Scorpion. And he's there, and everyone's watching, and they're kind of wondering what is the point of his character. You're not the character we played back growing up, on the video games. But I think it's important to acknowledge his character because I think his character was created for one main reason, and that's just the rise of popularity in MMA fighting and UFC fighting. There's even a scene in the film with, Sub-Zero and Cole Haan and Scorpion, and it's like he closes the door. And it's like, oh, this is a cage. They're fighting MMA style. So I think that was the reason of his character. Do I like his character? I mean, I don't really care either way for him, more or less. His superpower is trash. I'm not going to lie to you about that. I mean, at least Scorpion had stuff coming out of his hand. Like, he had, like, a blade coming out of his forearms. And it was kind of weak to me, in my opinion. But I wanted to talk about him. Kano is in this film. I think Kano, the actor's name is Josh Lawson. He stole the show. The comic relief, the Judas character, the betrayal. I think he definitely did a great job acting. I think his acting stood out amongst everyone else. Liu Kang's in the film, and I think Liu Kang was a big disappointment for most people. I'm not going to lie. When I first saw Liu Kang, he seemed very young, and he seemed weaker, or he seemed kind of less masculine than what we remember watching Liu Kang in the original films. Mekhi Brooks, he played Jax. He's actually a great fit. Sonya, the woman played Sonya Blade, was a great fit. The man that plays Scorpion, I think his name is Haruyuki Sanada. I am probably butchering that name, but we've seen him a lot in Marvel films and other, martial arts films. He definitely does his stuff. The film starts off, it's like a backstory between, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, why they're mortal enemies from different clan, tribes, things of that nature. It's definitely different than from what the backstory was originally, from what I remember growing up as a kid. But basically, this film, to me, feels like a prequel. So I know Mortal Kombat was supposed to have 3 films originally when they first came out in the 90s. I don't believe the third one ever came out. And what they wanted to do, I think it's just still part of that last deal. I don't remember who owns Mortal Kombat, but I think another company brought them out, and it was in production hell. It took a long time to get the script greenlit. So this film is like they introduced a new character, and they're getting ready for the tournament. They never actually fight in the tournament in this one. It was basically... what's his name? The main character, the main bad guy, Shang Tsung. He was trying to kill all the characters before they got to a tournament so they could win in the tournament. Basically cheat. So it almost seems like this film was a setup for if they want to renew the franchise and give it the Marvel treatment of a trilogy and, try and make TV shows and YouTube channels and streamline it. So with that, I guess the best way to put it is that for some people it might disappoint. But for me, I can't say it disappoints. Because if we're looking at the action compared to the action that we saw in the 90s, it's definitely better fighting. When you really go back and look at the action in the '90s, you see it's really a lot of it is kind of basic martial arts. They use a lot of stylized camera footage and cinematographies, low angles, and they slow motion down on certain scenes to make it look bigger and better than what it was. But honestly, I think this film stylistically wise goes way more in line with Marvel fighting. I think the fighting overall is better. The graphics is definitely better. Is the plot better? That's up for debate. Is it better than the movies you watched as a kid? Um, my answer to that is you can never top your childhood nostalgia. You're never going to top how you felt when you watched Action Kids as a little kid, how you played the game. And I think also this was made more gritty compared to the films in the '90s. I mean, the films in the '90s, it was it had the graphics and stuff like that, but it felt more arcade style. Like remember in the films back in the day, before a fight happened, you hear them say the Mortal Kombat, and you hear the music, and it puts you back into that arcade type of mode. Here, I think it's more in that comic book lineage of people trying to discover themselves and their powers and things of that nature. Another point I think I want to make is there's definitely less whitewashing in this film. You know, growing up, watching the other Mortal Kombat's. I mean, I remember what he looked like in the comics, not in the comics, but in the video games. But I never imagined Raiden as a white dude. So Raiden's he's not white in this one. It looks as though all of Scorpion, Sub-Zero, even though they never show their faces, I never pictured them as white males playing them, and I felt like that's what they were in the movies. But they're definitely not. They're definitely more of the Asian descent. I think that was a good look for to do that. I gotta say there are a couple of miscasts. I talked about Liu Kang. He just seemed young. The guy that played Shang Tsung, I think his name is Chen Han. I think he also played Su Young's dad, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he don't look like no emperor. He just doesn't. I'm sorry. Like he looked like I could take him right now in the fight. Like I'm not scared about him. Or Raiden. I mean, yeah, they made Raiden Asian, but he seemed kind of small and weak to me. I mean, Raiden. I'm glad he's Asian. You shouldn't whitewash him, but I mean, you gotta give me like a white beard or some hair or something. Get him back into the character like that we remember as kids. So I want to give him that. I don't have a problem with the acting, the plot. The plot was cool. I personally enjoyed it. I'll still give it a B. I don't think it was trash. I enjoyed the fighting. Is it better than what you saw as a kid? Can't be. You can't top your childhood. But hopefully, I think this is going to spring forth a reboot of the series, and I think a next film will be made. It will actually be a tournament, and you'll have Johnny Cage and some other characters that come on later on. But overall, I think you should watch it. If you grew up in the '90s playing the game like I did, you should go see it in theaters. If you don't care that much about it, and you got it on HBO Max, go watch it on HBO Max and enjoy the rest of your day. More film reviews coming soon. Peace.